My father's smile died the second the lawyer projected one sentence on the wall and my name sat where his son's should have been. He didn't know I'd been called adopted in spirit my whole life, while my brother's every milestone got cheers and I got silence. On my 27th birthday, Grandma hugged me and said, "It's time." She handed me an envelope and whispered, "Don't open this at home." I sat in my car for an hour. The first line inside made me whisper, "No way." Then Dad texted insisting I come back tonight to sign paperwork before family business got complicated. My name is Jade Mercer, and they first used the phrase when I was 8. We were at the dinner table in our house outside Phoenix, my brother Carter talking over everyone like he owned the air. I asked why he got the bigger bedroom. My dad, Wade, didn't look up. "Because he's different," he said. "You're adopted in spirit. We kept you, but that doesn't mean you're entitled to the same things." My mom, Tessa, patted my hand. "Don't make this a thing," she murmured like my hurt was the problem. After that, adopted in spirit wasn't an explanation. It was permission. Carter's milestones came with noise. When he turned 16, the backyard filled with people, music, and a toast about our boy's future. He got keys and applause. I got told to refill the ice and stay out of the photos. 2 weeks later on my birthday, the kitchen was quiet. A cheap cake. My name spelled wrong. Dad remembered after dessert. Mom promised next weekend. Then Carter called and the promise vanished. When Carter left for college, they made a weekend of it. Pictures, hugs, tears, the whole scene. When I left, I had a scholarship in one suitcase. Dad handed me a bus ticket and said, "You can handle it." Then he added casual as breathing. "Carter needs the car. Blood comes first." I worked 2 jobs and graduated with around $50,000 in loans. Carter graduated with none. The first time I asked for help, Dad's voice went flat. "Why would we pay for you? You're not really ours in the traditional sense." He said it like he was reciting a policy, not cutting his daughter open. Even after I moved to a studio in Tucson and got a steady job in payroll, the pattern followed me. Carter got celebrated. I got assigned. When he got engaged, they threw a dinner and handed me a list: chairs, favors, errands, cleanup. Mom smiled like she was inviting me into something. "It'll be good for you to feel included," she said, as if inclusion was a reward for labor. The only person who never treated me like a guest in my own life was Grandma Rowan. Every year, a lavender card arrived on my actual birthday. Same handwriting, same sentence, "Remember who you are." The truth doesn't stay buried. Last month, Mom texted family celebration Saturday, Carter's big announcement. "Don't be late. No mention of my birthday." I started typing an excuse, then Grandma Rowan's name lit up my screen. Her voice was thinner but firm. "Come home," she said. "I need you there for this." For the first time, my stomach didn't just drop, it clenched, because it didn't feel like they were planning to ignore me. It felt like they were finally getting ready to make my silence permanent. On my 27th birthday, I drove to my parents' place outside Phoenix. Carter's truck sat in the center of the driveway, and a banner stretched across the porch with his name in bold letters. Nothing for me, not even a card taped to the door. Inside, Mom met me with a printed list. No hug, no greeting. "Good you're here," she said. "Set up chairs and keep the drinks stocked. Just handle it." "Where's Carter?" I asked. "In his room," she replied. "Resting. This is a big day." I walked down the hall and saw a lavender birthday card on the console table, Grandma Rowan's handwriting looping my name across the front. It had been opened and shoved under the mail. My throat tightened. Even the only person who remembered me couldn't get her love to me intact in this house. By afternoon, the backyard was dressed for celebration. Carter worked the crowd smiling like he'd earned every compliment. Dad hovered beside him, soaking it in. I stayed near the drink station because that was always my job: support the moment and stay out of it. Dad clinked his glass. "I just want to say how proud I am of my son," he announced. "Carter's taking the next step." "That's legacy." People cheered. Carter grinned. A woman near the table looked at me and asked, "Isn't it your birthday too?" Dad laughed first. "Oh, we don't really count that," he said. "She's adopted in spirit." The words cut clean through the yard. A few smiles faltered. Mom didn't correct him. She just stared past the guests like she could pretend she hadn't heard. My face burned, then went cold. 27 years old, still being introduced as less than. Across the yard, Grandma Rowan sat alone, watching everything. When our eyes met, she gave me the smallest nod like a promise. Dad lifted his glass again. And speaking of family, he said we've been talking about the future, about keeping things in the family, about using what we have to set Carter up the way he deserves. Then I heard a cane tap against stone. Grandma stood and walked straight to my father. The crowd parted without realizing it. She stopped in front of him and said, calm as ice, Wade, you're getting brave on other people's property. His jaw tightened. Rowan, not now. It's exactly now, she said and turned to me. She pulled me into a hug that felt like protection, not pity. Against my ear, she said, it's time. She placed a thick envelope in my hands and leaned in to whisper, don't open this at home. Dad stepped forward, voice sharp. What is that? Give it here. Grandma didn't even glance at him. No, she said. Not yours. I held the envelope like it might disappear if I loosened my grip. I walked out through the side gate and kept going until I reached my car. Behind me, Mom called my name like it was a command. I didn't turn around. I got into my car and locked the doors. The envelope sat on my lap. From the driveway, I could still hear the party, my brother's name rising over the fence like a chant. Grandma Rowan's warning kept looping in my head. Don't open this at home. In that house, privacy was a joke. They opened mail. They cornered you in the kitchen. They turned every boundary into a lecture until you folded. I sat in my car for an hour. I watched the light shift on the dashboard and forced my breathing to slow down. My phone buzzed twice in my purse. I didn't check. I already knew what it would say. When I finally broke the seal, 3 things slid out. A birth record, formal paperwork with my grandmother's name at the top, and a letter on lavender paper, her handwriting so familiar it hurt. I opened the letter first. The first line inside made me whisper, no way. Jade, you were never adopted in spirit. I read it again, then grabbed the birth record and scanned it like I was proving something to myself. Mother, father. The same names that had spent my whole life telling me I didn't belong. No adoption, no amendments, no excuse. I was their biological daughter. I always had been. The rage that followed was clean, not messy. They hadn't treated me like this because I was different. They treated me like this because it worked. Then I looked at the paperwork. I didn't need every word. The center of it was simple. Grandma Rowan had set up a trust when I was born. The beneficiary was me. The assets listed were the house my parents lived in and savings of about $300,000, and the condition was spelled out in plain language: full control transferred at age 27. My hands went cold. An hour ago, my father was making speeches about keeping things in the family, talking like the house was already Carter's future. He said it out loud in front of guests like my grandmother's life and property were his to schedule. But the paperwork in my lap said he'd been living on permission, not ownership. And as of today, that permission had a new name. I imagined for half a second walking back through the gate and detonating the truth in front of everyone. Then I pictured my dad's favorite move, turning my reaction into proof I was unstable. So I didn't give him that. I stacked the papers, folded the letter, and slid everything back into the envelope with careful hands. Not to hide it, to control when it spoke. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked. A text from Dad. Get back in here. We need you to sign the paperwork tonight. There it was. If I'd opened that envelope inside their house, they would have taken it or trapped me in their story. Now they were trying a different door. And I finally knew what they were so desperate to get me to sign away. I didn't text back from the driveway. I drove home to Tucson with the envelope on the passenger seat, my father's order looping in my head. Sign the paperwork tonight. In our family, tonight always meant before I could think. At my studio, I read the letter again, then the paperwork, focusing on the parts I could understand. I called the estate attorney listed on the documents and kept my voice steady. Do not sign anything they send you, he said. If they're rushing you, they're trying to get you to waive something. Your grandmother planned this carefully. The documents are valid. That night, Dad called twice. I let it ring. Mom texted, we're family. Don't turn this into a fight. I stared at the screen, waiting for the part where she acknowledged the fight had been going on my whole life. On Tuesday, Carter messaged, "Hey, you coming this weekend? Dad says we all need to sign some paperwork. It's standard. No big deal." By Thursday, the paperwork landed in my inbox. 1 page, 1 signature, 1 statement that I had no claim to any family assets. Neat, simple, and designed to make erasing me feel like coordination. I forwarded it to the attorney and didn't reply. Friday evening, my mom showed up at my door holding flowers like a peace offering. She stepped inside and sat on my second-hand couch as if she belonged there. "Honey, your father's under stress," she said. "Just sign it. Keep the peace." "Why are you so scared of my signature?" I asked. Her smile tightened. "I'm not scared. I'm thinking of you. Your grandmother is old. Sometimes she gets confused. If she said something strange..." My phone buzzed. A text from Grandma Rowan. "They will try to make you doubt. Don't." I looked at my mother's perfect makeup and heard the lie underneath her softness. "I'm not signing anything I said." For a second, her mask cracked. "Do you want to ruin your brother?" She snapped, then immediately softened. "That's not what I meant. We can work this out as a family." Family, the word they only used when they needed me to disappear. She left without hugging me. Minutes later, Dad texted, "If you don't sign, you're choosing to not be family." I replied once, and only once, "I'll discuss this in the proper setting." The attorney scheduled a meeting the following week at his Phoenix office and sent formal notices to my parents and Carter. No kitchen ambush, no hallway lecture. If they wanted paperwork, they could ask in front of someone who wouldn't let my father rewrite reality. That night, I hung a navy suit on my closet door and set the envelope beside it. They thought I was coming to surrender. They were about to learn what it looks like when silence finally arrives with proof. The attorney's office in Phoenix was quiet in the way a courtroom is quiet. I sat in my navy suit with the envelope in my bag and waited. Dad walked in first and took the seat at the head of the table like it belonged to him. Mom sat beside him, pearls and composure. Carter dropped into a chair and smirked at me like this was another chore I'd handle. Dad nodded at the attorney. "We need Jade to sign the waiver. Let's keep this clean." "Before anyone signs anything," the attorney said, "we're going to review what your mother has in place." Dad scoffed. "Rowan doesn't get to rewrite our family." "She's not rewriting it," the attorney replied. "She documented it." He slid copies across the table. Dad's eyes moved fast, then stopped hard on my name. "What is this?" he demanded. "Trust paperwork," the attorney said. "Created shortly after Jade was born. As of her 27th birthday, she has authority over the assets listed." Carter's smirk vanished. "Assets like what the home you live in," the attorney said, "and savings of about $300,000. Dad went rigid. "That house is ours. We've lived there for decades. Occupying a home and owning it are different," the attorney said. "The title has not been in your name." Mom's voice turned thin. "Wade." Dad slammed his hand on the table. "This is a forgery." He turned on me, eyes sharp with the old contempt. "You're not even really family." I slid the birth record across the table. "Say it again," I said, quiet. He glanced down, then flinched. The attorney didn't let him breathe life back into the lie. "Verified. No adoption record. Jade is your biological daughter." Carter stared at me like he'd never seen my face before. Mom stared at the paper like it was evidence at a crime scene. Dad tried to change tactics. His voice softened into something I'd never heard from him. "Jade, sweetheart, we can work this out. As a family..." I didn't raise my voice. "You don't get that word now," I said. "You used adopted in spirit for years so you could treat me like I didn't count." Carter leaned forward, panic creeping in. "So, what happens to us?" The attorney answered, measured. "Ms. Mercer controls the property. Any change in occupancy follows the proper process." I took a breath. "I'm not putting you on the street today," I said. "You have 90 days to move. Take what's yours. But you're done building your future on what was never yours." Dad's throat worked. "After everything we did for you." I met his eyes. "Name one thing you did that wasn't meant to keep me quiet." Silence. I stood and gathered my folder. "From now on, you talk through him," I told Dad, nodding at the attorney. Then I looked at Mom. If you ever want a relationship with me, it starts with truth. Outside, my phone buzzed. A text from Grandma Rowan. Proud of you. Come see me. Tea's waiting. For the first time, silence felt like space. 90 days came and went without a single apology that didn't ask for something in return. My parents moved into a smaller place in Phoenix. Carter stopped texting once he realized I wasn't a shortcut to his plans. I didn't celebrate their struggle, but I didn't rescue them from it either. That was the point of a boundary. It lets people feel the weight of their own choices. I kept the house not as a trophy, but as proof I was never the disposable one. I took down the old family portrait where I'd been pushed to the edge and replaced it with a photo of Grandma Rowan and me at her kitchen table. Tea steaming between both of us, smiling like we'd finally exhaled. If you've ever been the one who got silence while someone else got applause, I want to hear from you. What did you do when you realized love was being used as control? Drop your story in the comments, and if this hit home, subscribe for more real-life family drama and the lessons that come with it.
The real issue is signature pressure, when someone tries to rush you into signing something before your brain catches up. It's not a paperwork problem, it's a power move. Here's how the pattern usually goes. They create forced urgency, like tonight, before it gets complicated. Then they guilt you for pausing, like, why you are making this hard? If you ask a normal question, they change the tone. Sweet voice, then disappointment, then anger, until you are reacting emotionally instead of thinking clearly. Sometimes they gaslight you, meaning they try to make you doubt what you know you saw or heard, like you are imagining it. That never happened. In today's story, the rush wasn't about efficiency. It was about getting a yes before the truth had a chance to speak. The real world consequences can be brutal. People sigh away rice, money, housing stability, or future options because they're trying to be the calm one in a chaotic family. Even if the document is small, the habit is big. You learn to override your instincts to keep other people comfortable, and that spills everywhere. Work situations, relationships, friendships, until you don't trust your own pause button anymore. Here are three practical moves that keep you safe without escalating. Make a personal rule. I don't say anything the same day I receive it. No debate, no explanations. Move it to writing. Email it to me. I review it and get back to you. And don't discard it in the hallway, car, or kitchen ambush. Build a simple record. Save messages, write down dates, and keep important paperwork somewhere private before clarity beats arguments. From this channel's perspective, we don't care how family someone claims to be if they only want closeness when you're cornered. If a situation is truly fair, it can survive a 24-hour pause period. And if they punish you for slowing down, that tells you the pause was a point. So ask yourself, who benefits when you are rash, emotional, and not allowed to think?